Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cinephilia.
Hello. We've got a special guest, Jazza, here with us today. You guys remember him from our previous episode. He's back to talk about the best and worst movies of 2021 and what we're looking forward to in 2022.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun episode.
Awesome. Jazza's here because I didn't watch a lot of movies, so we needed another person to kind of fill in the holes. But hopefully it'll go. I didn't even ask if he'd watched enough movies, so I have no idea.
Did you watch a lot of movies?
Okay, good.
And you didn't watch a lot of movies.
I'm useless in this show.
And I'm very excited about movies.
I feel like there's still going to be a lot of movies that only I have seen.
Probably. Looking at that list.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I have my Letterboxd rank list in front of me, and I watched 124 movies. That's including short films as well over the year. So we won't talk about all of them, but we'll talk about the best and the worst.
Yeah.
But there's news today? No news today?
I don't really have anything. Do you want to go?
No trailers today? No?
Well, we did find out. We literally just found out right before the show that Bob Saget passed away. He was 65. He was found at the Ritz-Carlton in L.A. Ambulance or police responded to an unresponsive man, and they found him. So they said there's no drugs, there's no foul play. Like, they didn't find anything that was so he might have just died of maybe a heart attack or something natural causes. So I guess we'll find out because it just happened. It happened this morning, and I only got the notification a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should watch Full House marathon.
Yeah, sure.
America's Funniest Videos.
That's the one. I think I'd rather watch that.
Yeah.
I love that show.
But other than that, we have nothing other than news, which the year just started. People were doing nothing for a little while, so I think we're just gonna jump right into the topic and just because I feel like we're gonna be on this for a little while. There's a lot of movies. Will was just saying he's got a list of like 7,000 movies that he's gonna go through. But let's get started. We're just gonna probably jump around and probably go into tangents. It's just conversational.
Talk about whatever we want to talk about. I don't know where to begin. Like, do we begin with what our favorite movie of the year was? Do we want to talk about like the worst movie we saw for the year?
Let's start with the worst. Those are fun.
Yeah. What was
something real bad that you watched this year?
The worst movie that I watched this year is not even at the bottom of my list because there were some badly made things, but I feel like the worst movie because it should not have been as bad as it was. For me, was The Little Things. It was the first of those, you know how HBO was doing the thing where you get some movies hit in theater and HBO at the same time?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was the first one that HBO did this year, and it was this little crime thriller movie that tried to feel a little bit like Seven. It didn't, but it stars...
tried real hard.
Yeah. It stars Rami Malek, Jared Leto, and Denzel Washington. You guys know how I feel about Jared Leto. I'm not a fan. So he's garbage to begin with. But then Denzel Washington and Rami Malek, I actually like quite a bit. But all three of these actors were really miscast in this movie. Like, Denzel Washington is absolutely phoning it in. Like, he's never phoned it in before. Rami Malek is supposed to be like this intense character, but he's I'm taking that back. He's supposed to be like a more knowing character, but he looks so wide-eyed and innocent the whole time that it just doesn't work for me. And then
aren't those just his eyes?
but I mean he's capable of giving a performance, but for some reason in this it just wasn't happening. And then like I said, Jared Leto was just, I can't get on the Jared Leto bandwagon. There's something about him that just turns me off every time.
Maybe you'll like him in Morbius next year.
That trailer, just watching the trailer, I'm just like, I'm not excited for it. Dave has gotten excited watching the trailer, I think, but
But you'll watch it?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I mean, as a cinephile, I will watch any movie you put in front of me. But then I'll rip it to shreds if it's awful.
Oh, see.
See, I don't mind saying that a movie is bad.
If a movie is bad for me, I will not finish it. I'll just like there's bad movies that I will sit and watch, but if I am hating it, there are several movies that that I can think of right now that I'm just like, I am not wasting any more of my time with this nonsense.
I'm curious, like, what's a movie that's of that level for you? Since you said there's several you're thinking of right now.
The Hours. The Hours. I knew I was gonna get that response. I had a full tantrum leaving the theater.
Why?
Because it was, well, one, I didn't know what kind of movie we were going to see. And we had been sitting there and it had been like 45 minutes. And I told my friend, I'm like, it's been 45 minutes. Everyone is depressed and we still don't know why.
That's the point. That's what the movie is about.
I'm not going to sit and watch people be depressed. Like, that is not why I go to the movies. I do not need depression.
Okay, but
supplemented to me in the form of entertainment.
But I guess the difference is, like, there's a movie that you don't like, but that's different than a movie that's bad.
True.
Yeah.
I just couldn't watch that movie. I just couldn't, so I left it. But, well,
that's what I mean. Like,
on
The
your
Little Things.
list,
The Little Things is a movie that I think was badly made.
Yeah.
Like, it.
There were several that I saw on your list that I was like, oh, I hated that. I hated that. I hated
Like
that.
what? Because we're talking about 2021 movies. So, like, what's a movie that came out in 2021 that you?
The Green Knight. And
You
I
didn't
went
like
to
The
the
Green
Green Knight really wanting to like The Green Knight. But again, because isn't that a Guillermo del Toro movie?
No.
But isn't it connected to the people who did Pan's Labyrinth?
Maybe. Not that I think so. I don't think so.
Well, maybe I'm just connecting it because it was a similar experience that I went expecting something fantasy and left there like, what the fuck was that? I was,
It was fantasy. It just wasn't fantasy enough for you?
Yeah, it wasn't fantasy enough. I mean, a fox and trippy castle scenes, not enough for me. I needed, I don't know, when I went to that movie, I was expecting an Arthurian tale, and the movie was just really slow. And I'm like, what is going on? Like I'm watching a film like, is something going to happen? No, nothing is going to happen. And so when the movie was done, I'm like, did I really need to sit there to get that ending? Like, that was just really frustrating. I'm like, I got nothing out of that. That's like going through bad sex and still not coming. Like, it's like, did I really have to do that? Like,
well, now this opens up a big dissection because I know that this is a movie all three of us have seen. You've seen The Green Knight.
I did not see it.
You didn't?
I'm going to tell you why, because I listened to Danny Montooth, and he hated it. And then he told me that you didn't like it, but we didn't discuss it.
I did like it.
He told me you didn't like it. And this is why I was like, because I was like, Danny Montooth's opinions of doesn't like, we like different things. So when he says, but then he said you didn't like it. I thought he said you, I might be lying. I may make it up. I don't know, Danny. Well, this is what I remember. So I didn't see it.
I will say that there were things in the movie that I didn't like. I think that there were, it had some levels going on to it, and there were things about it that I really liked a lot, and then there were things about it that I didn't like. So I wonder if the conversation I had with Danny, that's
maybe
the impression that he got.
Now I have to see it. Because I wrote it off, because Danny was like, nope, and you were like, and I thought you were also nope, and I was like, why bother?
Well, I think
what did you like about it?
I liked that it, well, one, you said it was slow, but I love the pacing of it. What?
No, I was just going to say, before you go on, what I should do from now on is just go to Letterboxd and look at your star rating.
Right.
Because you gave this a 4 stars.
Right. It's not perfect.
4?
Yeah, it's nowhere near perfect, but there are things about it that are great. I really like Dev Patel, and I like the actress that plays his mom. I think that the two of them are really great in it. I think that story-wise, I think that it gets really mixed up, especially based on the legend that it is based on. Like, if it had kept truer to the original legend, I think that the story would have come across stronger. But as far as like visual feasts for the year, this is the visual feast of the year.
I'm going to watch this.
I would say the visuals were great. I loved the crowns and the way that they framed people, I will give it that. That's all I can give it. So 1 star.
The conversation that I was interested in having, because I feel like all three of us would have very different takes on this movie.
Now it can't happen because I failed.
The movie ends in a way, because you said, like, for that ending, like, was it worth it? The movie ends in a way where it could be interpreted in a couple different ways. And I'm interested in what the how do you think the movie, spoilers, if you have not seen Green Knight, should we not have this maybe this could be a private conversation. I'm interested in how you interpreted the ending of the movie, because it may be what makes or breaks the movie.
Well, without giving away the ending, I was prepared for the ending, but I was prepared for some kind of twist or some kind of something a little bit more. It
like
was just so...
Like a saving grace. You wanted like a...
I wanted something out of it. It was just very lackluster. It was just kind of like we went through all of that just to get to that. And I was like, well, that didn't really give me anything other than what it had said it was going to give me. You know, it's like if someone says they're going to give you cheesecake and you're like, I'm hoping there's strawberries on it or maybe blueberries. And then it's just cheesecake.
But
it's just like, but I knew it was gonna be cheesecake.
Right. So if a movie is like blatantly telling you what it's gonna do, and then you build it,
why take two more hours of my time to get there?
I feel like the reasons you don't like The Green Knight are the same reasons you don't like The Hours, because it's kind of like sometimes it's not about the end result, sometimes it's about the journey. Sometimes it's about,
I want the journey to be fun. That's probably it.
We should revisit, bring Danny in. Just correct
let's do a Green Knight roundtable. Let's do a Night of the Round Table.
Movies that end in a way that can be interpreted differently or something. But in comparison, you gave Little Things 1.5 stars.
Yeah.
And that one you definitely didn't like.
That was.
And what was the 1.5 for? Like what did it?
Why
do
did
to
it get
deserve
that
the
much?
1? Yeah.
You know, some movies are like bad to the point where you start just like riffing on it, and it's kind of a fun.
Oh, like Wonder Woman 2?
Yeah, oh gosh, exactly like Wonder Woman 2. That's the only saving grace of that one. Yeah, Dave and I, like, once we get settled into a movie and we see what kind of movie it is, if we're not enjoying it, we'll just start riffing on it.
Oh,
and so we still have like a fun time watching it. I do think that some of the cinematography and little things might have been nice. Like there were some shots I can think of, but mostly it's probably laughing at Jared Leto is what got it.
What is it about Jared Leto that bothers you so much?
Like
I'm not on the Jared Leto bandwagon, but I have no opinion, so I'm like completely neutral.
He is. I think he's an actor or a personality, even because he does music as well, that takes himself too seriously, but then tries to come off as not taking himself seriously. He's like a prankster, but at the same time, he's like, I'm amazing, you know? So it's like, if you're going to be that way, then you have to have the talent to back it up. And I do think that he can act. I have seen movies earlier in his career and shows that he was on where he was good, but at this point in his career, all of that is out the window.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, there's nothing interesting for me to watch here. That's how I feel about him. Sorry, Jared Leto. I know you're watching this.
Yeah.
All right.
What's a movie that you saw this year that you didn't like?
What did you actually see?
Because we got one from Jazza that he didn't like. What's one that you didn't like?
That I didn't like?
Yeah.
Ooh. You know what? I didn't make a list of things that I did like.
I know you're looking at my list.
I'm just looking at all the releases. I'm trying to figure out what I did. You know what? This is a movie that I liked when I saw it, but the further I got from it, I was really bummed about it. I think it was the hype of me wanting to really like it. It was Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
Because there were some very, very like
In unison.
That was sympathy.
there were some cool things about the movie, and I think I enjoyed watching it. But I think it was one of those things like, oh, this is real bad. This is just kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like the opening was so good. The whole fight
Yes.
with the scorpion, and then setting that up. And then it going down the path of this guy
That
who we
was
didn't
it.
care about, and then it just sort of slowly fell apart. And I didn't hate it. It was definitely a disappointment, and I wish it hadn't been because that first movie, even though it was kind of bad, the very first Mortal Kombat, it holds up as an entertaining movie. It's still fun to watch.
It was great for what it was in the era because, like, I always have to compare Mortal Kombat with Street Fighter. And so as a video game, I prefer Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But as the movies, the Mortal Kombat movie was still 10 times better than the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, oh yeah,
for sure.
And then yet this one, I was, everything you just said was my experience of it. And it's funny because before I watched it, my brother was watching it and he was texting me, and you can see you can just in the tone of his text hear it actually live action going down.
It's
oh
like-
my god,
like-
this movie is amazing.
He's so excited, and then you can
Yeah,
hear
and
it
it was
just going downhill.
oh. Like, and then you see the 3 dots going on, and he was like, never mind. That's all he said, was like, never mind. It went from, this movie is amazing,
Yeah.
to never mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that pretty much sums it up. It's like,
And I completely agree that it was that opening scene that was so well done, like the opening of the movie. If they had continued with that story, but then it completely like jumps to someone else, something else,
and somebody who don't care about, and
I really didn't care. And the storytelling was just all over the place with that. I'm like, I didn't care about any of those characters. And I want to say, I know I keep mentioning Ryan George, but I feel like it was probably him. I find very entertainment in hearing his things, but I want to say it was him that, it was maybe him or maybe it was me, but maybe we were watching, and it was just like, oh no, it was me, because we watched it, and then by the end of it, the main character who was supposed to prove himself still never beat anybody on his own.
No.
Like, he still needed everybody else to help him. So it's like, we watched this movie about this guy becoming a hero, and he never actually became a hero.
No. That's how I feel about, how I feel about Good Dinosaur? That's the exact same thing.
I hated it too. I hated it too.
It's the exact same thing.
It's pretty bad when you ruin an animation film. Like, animation films, it's animated, so you already go in it with an extended belief.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways.
I don't know why.
That's not a 2021 movie.
I don't know why they felt the need to create this new character for Mortal Kombat when there are so many characters to pull from. We could just develop someone else. Like, it didn't serve any purpose. So.
No.
That's unfortunate.
And I don't think it did that actor's career any.
It didn't do
I didn't think it gave him any, like,
it didn't do anything for
steps
anyone
up
in
or
it.
anything. So.
The fact that it had
Rashad Brooks?
no, it's
That's why I was excited.
the two guys that I really like that I can never remember their names.
Oh yeah,
Hiroyuki Sanada is in it.
Like, yeah, in the first scene.
Yeah, and then Joe Taslim is actually someone that I really liked. He was in the Raid movies. But they don't. Yeah, right. Oh, he's hot. But that's the thing, is that he's so hot, but he plays Sub-Zero, so his face is
covered the
completely
entire
covered.
time.
So it's just like, you have the talent, you have people who are capable in this movie, but then you don't use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such a disappointment. And then also, gosh, that's not what I meant to go to.
Like,
The guy that played Raiden, Tanonobu, sorry, I'm messing up this name. Tadanobu Asano is like also a classic. He's the guy on the Itchy the Killer poster. But he's in the movie and they don't use him either.
No,
it's
kind
just
of his
upsetting.
thing. Like he's
Right.
kind of, it's like the other guys are interfering, but you're just gonna. Anyways, yep, no, and because he's also playing one of my favorite characters in the game, so I'm like, use him. It's just like.
Yeah.
It was just like what is it about? I mean, are lightning special effects expensive to do or something? They can't be any more expensive than those grains that they use for like Sandman and
the particles.
Yeah.
The special effects in Mortal Kombat were not. I feel like whatever budget they had, they could have figured it out, but they didn't.
I think, at least in my experience, fire is harder than lightning, and so. But I don't understand why lightning characters don't get their due when it comes to movies like this, because I know it wasn't.
Who are you thinking about?
Storm.
I knew you were going to say
thinking about Storm every time. It's like, why? She's a fucking goddess. And he's literally a god.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you play down someone who's a god, it's like, oh, why'd you even put him in the movie?
Right.
Like, why?
You're hilarious.
All right, you want to switch up to a movie that we
did like?
Did like?
What did we like this year?
Well, I think that. Oh, I know both of us liked Dune. How'd you feel about Dune?
I didn't mind Dune.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Dune.
Yeah, I thought Dune was great. I think, I kind of wish it might have. I know they wouldn't do this, but I wish it just been like a 4-hour movie so we could just gotten the whole story instead of having to wait for a part 2.
I'm right there with you.
I don't mind it being 2 movies, but I kind of wish that they were, with the director and the cast that this movie has, they knew this was going to be a hit. There's no reason that they had to like test him and be like, let's wait and see how your first one does. I wish they had let him direct 1 and 2 back to back, and then we'd be done
next year.
It'd be ready already.
Yeah, it'd be ready. Yeah.
Well, I wish there had been more of what's going to be in the second movie in this movie. I felt like he spent this entire movie building up the second movie.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like, when it was over, I'm like, like, you didn't use your time wisely on that movie, because it was good. It was beautiful, and I really did love the cast, but I was just like, it felt like a long trailer. A long, lovely trailer and commercial for Sand featuring Zendaya.
I feel like he did use his time wisely, because Dune is a very
it's a slow burn.
thick. No, not that it's slow burn, but it's like thick and dense as far as a story. Because if you look at like the David Lynch version, have you seen that one?
Yeah, you're right.
That movie does a lot, and then you don't know what's happening. Like, you're looking at that movie like, this is cool, but what the fuck does this mean? Like, what's happening? And I think that this movie, he was able to actually explain what was happening so that you could follow.
I would, you're absolutely right on this.
Yeah.
I'm like, as I'm hearing, I'm like,
So it is.
That's how I think.
But you're right that
you're
it
telling
definitely
me.
is. You're right that it definitely is a setup for the next movie, because there's a lot to play out in the next movie.
And
but
I just
think
wanted some of that.
Yeah, this is just like a good foundation for that.
So I'm definitely looking forward to the next. Have they mentioned when it's coming out? Because it's
No,
not
they greenlit
2022,
it. No,
right?
It's happening, but they haven't. Yeah.
Oh, they haven't even filmed it
That's what I'm
yet?
saying. They should have filmed them together.
Back to back, yeah.
Oh.
It's probably going to be like
that leaves the door
24,
for
25.
problems.
Yeah.
I hope none of the cast dies.
Oh my God, I hope so too.
I mean, seriously.
I hope so.
I mean, but
We don't want that
just
to
leave
happen.
a lot to gamble. I mean, we've already lost Betty, and now Bob,
That's Betty.
and Sydney.
I was gonna say losing Betty White was a down part of 2021, but that was just it just happened in like the last day of 2021.
Yeah, literally. And it was like, oh, well, at least that's one more bad thing that happened in 2021 as opposed to something bad happening in 2022. But I was actually really kind of, I don't know this woman, but there are certain celebrities that the longer they're around and the longer they feel like they're part of, or that the longer I feel like they're part of my life. And so she was about to be 100, and I was really excited about that. I'm like, oh, what are they going to do for her 100th? Like, it'll be fun, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh.
But in perfect, like, Betty White comedic timing. Like, leave it to her to leave right before. She probably got a kick out of it.
Yeah,
she's probably
like,
laughing.
gotcha! It's like, I'm out.
So there were 2 movies in 2021 titled Swan Song. Have you seen either of them?
No.
Have you?
No.
I didn't think so. I've seen both. One of which is Apple TV exclusive. I'm sure you'd be happy to hear that. Starring Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's really good in it. It's kind of about he's having health problems, and this is like a scientific future where he has a possibility to clone himself and let himself be replaced in his life, so that his wife and his son can grow up. His wife and his son can still experience living with him without knowing that he's actually died from his illness. So it's that kind of, the movie goes through that conundrum of like, is this ethical? Do I want to do this? Naomi Harris plays his wife. She's great. Glenn Close is also in the movie. Adam Beach is in the movie. I love Adam Beach. We don't see enough Adam Beach, and he's in it.
Who's Adam Beach?
He's like top-tier Native American actor.
Oh, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. I needed you to make it racial. No, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, no, I know now.
And it's a really good movie, so I recommend if you haven't seen Swan Song.
And that's on Apple?
That's on Apple.
Yeah. Okay.
The other Swan Song is actually now available on Hulu, and it stars Udo Kier, of all people, as a aging queen, like an aging bitter old gay man. And his performance in it is great. I mean, Udo Kier is always good, but him tackling a role like this is really fun to watch. Like,
so it was good.
Oh, it was
Both
good.
of them are good.
Wow.
Between the two, I would suggest watching them both, but I actually like the Udo Kier Swan Song better.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
So those are both like towards the top of my list.
And
Udo Kier's
Kier's one on
the Swan Song on Hulu. That one is actually in my top 10 movies.
They've been suggesting it, so now that you've given yours, I'm like, okay, I'll give this.
It's a great watch. His performance is amazing. It also has Jennifer Coolidge. And
now
and Udo Kier and Jennifer Coolidge get to do like a standoff. Like the two of them, they're like bitter at each other, and it's good.
Lovely.
So yeah, I highly recommend that movie.
You know what? There's a film on there that I don't know if you just mentioned Jennifer Coolidge, that I just watched the other day on Netflix, just because it was a random like
the Christmas movie.
Yeah, the Christmas gay movie.
Yeah.
Did that just come out, or was it out for Christmas?
It came out for Christmas.
Oh, okay. Because I was like,
no,
what is this?
They didn't release the Christmas movie in January.
Well, yeah, I thought so. But I was like, I'm just curious why I never saw it. Because you know how, like, when you turn on your Netflix and then there's, like, a movie up there, and it's usually based off of your likings. Yeah. I was a little surprised. I'm like, how have I not heard of this?
Yeah, they should have recommended it to you. Don't they know you're
gay rom-coms? That's all me. Like, hello, it should have been 99% recommended for you.
What'd you think of it?
It was cute.
It was cute.
I mean, I felt it was very predictable.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a rom-com. They're all predictable. You know how they're going to end. And it still gave me, like, I still enjoyed it. Like, it was
got all
very cute.
the warm fuzzies
all my
watching
feels. Yeah, I was like, oh, it was cute.
And Jennifer Coolidge is funny in that.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of her. the name of the movie, by the way, because I don't think you said the name of the movie, it's called Single All the Way. Christmas gay rom-com.
Welcome to Talking with Jazza. I just jump into the middle of the subject.
I think a movie that I really liked this year was Last Night in Soho. I think it was one of my favorites, like top 5 movies this year, because I didn't know what to expect from Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
This type of movie, and I think it delivered. It wasn't a perfect movie. There's some things that were like not great, but generally, it's like a 90% pretty good movie, and I really enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it, and the trailers are very cryptic. I'm still trying to figure out what it's about.
You have to watch the whole movie.
That makes a good trailer.
Yes.
Oh, I think the trailer is great.
Trailer
It's
should be more cryptic.
I completely agree.
It's definitely one of those movies that even if it tried, a trailer could not tell you everything's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot
what
going on.
genre would you put it in? Because it looks a little too creepy for me.
I would
I
consider
feel
it a
like
horror.
I'm anxious watching the trailer, so I'm like, I don't know if I can handle 2 hours of anxiety.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of
It's,
horror.
I would say psychological horror.
yeah.
Okay, that's pretty much what I got from the trailer.
Yeah.
so
But I don't think it's in like.
so
in
I
the-
won't watch it. So
don't-
tell me
But
about
it's
it.
not.
Yeah, it's not like.
It's not what you're expecting. It's not like a jump scare type movie.
No,
it's not trying to make you
it's-
uncomfortable.
That stuff I can handle. It's the anxiety of like in Black Swan when she's cutting the toenails. That stuff I can't handle. I'm like, oh my god, what did I gotta do?
I will say, because we had a discussion about this movie already, and I will say that there is definitely a scene in the movie that you, as a black person, would be very uncomfortable with.
Yes.
Oh, see, I was already uncomfortable.
I think that was the most uncomfortable scene in the whole movie.
I was more uncomfortable for this black guy in this one scene
Yep.
than I was for the lead in the whole movie.
I was like this.
To be honest, because it's like, do we really want to put a black person in this situation? No.
Get out,
Let's
get out,
not
get out.
do this. Other than that, because that was, I don't think the tension that scene caused was intentional by the director. I think it was just short-sighted.
Matter of fact.
So taking that out of the context, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
That I had problems with that scene, but otherwise, I think that the movie actually is really good and worth watching. And
I'm at Jazza Smiles if you guys want to DM or tweet me your opinions on the movie, because I will not be watching it.
I will say I'm always going to be ready to watch a performance by Anya Taylor-Joy. That is my girl.
Yep, she's good.
And
She
she's
is good.
amazing in it, but also Mackenzie Thomas, or Thomas and Mackenzie, who plays the actual lead in the movie. I've seen her in a couple things here and there, but this is the first time I think I really got to see her shine. I think this is like a breakout performance for her. She's really good at it. And also, Diana Rigg is in this movie.
Who?
She's like classic British actress, Diana Rigg. And this is the last movie that she made before she passed.
Diana.
Right, that Diana Rigg. So it's good to see her in this.
British Cooper says, telling the genre is a spoiler. The real genre is a spoiler.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. That's the point. But
Well, feel free to spoil it for me online, because I'm not gonna.
and
watch it.
Regis Cooper says, and we're probably going to touch on these, but I'm just going to list them. He said the ones he actually enjoyed this year were Suicide Squad, Ghostbusters, Free Guy, Willy's Wonderland, which I didn't see, Last Night in Soho, and of course his movie of the year, Tick Tick Boom, which I haven't seen yet.
Boom.
I've seen all of those also except for Willy's Wonderland, and I think that's streaming now. So we should watch it. But yeah, that's actually a pretty good list. Did you see Suicide Squad?
I did see. I did see. Like I gotta
It's a tongue twister. See Suicide Squad.
Seashells. I did see it, and I was entertained. I've given up on DC at this stage. Like I
think we all
feel
have.
like because I went in with the lowest expectations that I actually wasn't going to go to the movie, but they had a ticket, and so I went.
I watched it streaming. I didn't see this.
Yeah,
I went to the movie because they had a ticket, and I'm like, oh, you know what? No, I wasn't gonna go to the movie, and then someone texted me little GIF files of John Cena in his underwear, and I'm like, okay, I'll see it. And then I went and saw it, and I left there, I think, because I went in with those DC expectations of like, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
That I left there, I'm like, I laughed. It was action. I was entertained. I mean, it's not a great movie, but I was entertained.
Yeah.
Whereas my friends who are actual like DC fans, they were very bummed and disappointed. I'm like, when are you guys gonna get it? That's just DC stands for disappointing cinema.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard that before. Oh my
I
gosh.
just made it up.
There are one or two DC movies that I like that most of them are like just way down here. And it's sad because I grew up as a DC boy. I didn't read Marvel as a kid. I read DC. So these are the characters that I love and I want to like them, but they're not giving me anything.
They're not, but I feel like they were ahead of the game. I didn't grow up. I've been a Marvel head from the beginning.
Yeah.
But as far as movies, the Superman movies with
Christopher
Reeves, everything. I watch those all the time. And Michael Keaton Batman is still my Batman.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
He's coming back.
Because, is he?
Are you really didn't know that?
I didn't know that because I was just complaining to someone that
He's already been cast in 2 movies
as Batman.
as Batman. He's gonna be in.
My God.
He's gonna be in.
I didn't know this was happening.
He's gonna be in The Flash, and then he's also and The Flash is going to be like
because
DC's
of the
multiverse thing.
universes.
So
That's right.
So he's gonna be in that, but Ben Affleck Batman is also gonna be in that. And then he has actually just been cast in the Batgirl movie. He's actually going to be Bruce Wayne in
This makes me
in
very
Batgirl.
happy because
It doesn't mean that the movies are going to be good.
No, it doesn't. But it does. It's a step forward because I didn't think they could do worse than Val Kilmer's Batman. And then it was like someone said, "Hold my beer," because the Twinkle vampire guy as Batman. He doesn't deliver Batman, and he's not even a Bruce Wayne. I'm like, when they show him as Bruce Wayne, I'm like, that is the most
So you're
depressing
not looking
looking
forward
Bruce
to that
Wayne.
movie?
Not at all.
I actually think that's one of the better looking things DC's doing in a long time. I actually think that
I think they're in the middle of like a hard reset. Somebody's trying to course correct.
If they're in a hard reset, then they should stop resetting Batman and just reset with a character that hasn't gotten its justice.
I agree.
Stop giving us the same guy again because Batman's been beat to death.
I think what DC needs to do is not worry about. They can't replicate the continuity that Marvel has done.
No,
I think DC just needs to do individual movies and just focus on making that movie
Good movies.
And that was their problem. They saw what Marvel were doing and said, we need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Where they could have just kind of done what they had done in the past and kind of built on that, and they didn't.
Yeah. Suicide Squad was the only DC movie that came out this year, right? Because we got 4 Marvel movies this year, plus TV shows.
Yeah. But wait, I want to say there was another DC movie this year.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
The chat will tell us. Reed will tell us.
Because the last thing before Suicide Squad came out was last year we had Birds of Prey. I don't think there was anything between Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad, but I could be wrong. Let us know
we
if
got
you're wrong.
the Snyder Cut this year.
Oh,
That's what it was. It was the Snyder Cut.
The
That's
Snyder
not,
Cut that came out this year.
You know
That's
what?
it was.
I'm going to go on the fence and say that's not really a new movie, but kind of it was a new
they
movie.
spent enough money to make that a new movie.
It compared to the Joss Whedon version of that same movie, such an improvement.
Such an improvement.
Still not
good,
perfect.
but it was a big improvement. I'm happy with them to just like leave that and move on. But it is like, oh, okay, here's some water to wash out that
Yeah.
that shit we gave you before.
So, since we're talking about DC, let's move over to Marvel because we did get 4 Marvel movies. Did you like all 4 of them?
The 4 Marvel movies are
Spider-Man: No Way Home,
loved it.
Eternals,
Nope. Shang-Chi. Loved it.
And Black Widow.
Black Widow. Oh, then I guess 5 if we're counting
Free Guy?
multiverse continuity. No, not Free Guy. That's a
Kinda.
nod. It has a
Kinda,
nod
yeah.
to it, but it isn't actually in
I mean, it's
continuity.
Disney. Oh, true.
I'm talking about in continuity. But if we talk about, like, if we count multiverse continuity, then we also can include Venom. the Venom sequel.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it was a Marvel movie.
So then 5, because to be honest, when I said 4, I had completely forgotten about Black Widow, because I couldn't stand Black Widow.
You know what? I forgot about it too, though.
Black Widow was not good. I'm sorry.
I just felt it just was, for what it was unnecessary.
It was definitely unnecessary for what it was.
Just as far as like, I thought we were going to get like an insight into her life that we didn't already know, and we didn't get that.
We got introduced to a sister,
which is the only good thing to come out of it.
Yeah.
And she was the star of that movie.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so it's like, that's a reason to like her, but that's not a reason to like the movie, because I would have loved her if they had introduced her. If she was just being introduced in Hawkeye or one of the other series, I would have loved her just as much, because the actress did a great job with the role, and the writers wrote her well.
Yeah.
The movie was just kind of, because like most of these movies, whether I love them or I don't, I can rewatch them over and over and over, just because they're giving me that disconnect from the real world that I need. That movie was just like, I don't want to rewatch that. I'll just rewatch Endgame or WandaVision or any of the other ones. But let me put it this way to you, though, because what did you guys think of Loki?
I liked Loki.
Oh, okay. So you liked Loki more than Black Widow?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay.
You thought Black Widow was better than Loki?
I couldn't rewatch either of them, so that's why I was gonna ask you guys.
I
which
didn't
one
mind
could you rewatch?
Black Widow. I didn't think it wasn't amazing, but I thought it was fine. It was like 6 years too late. Like I wish it would happen. Because it felt more of that. And then I think it would have made more sense. I think all they were doing is trying to course correct her a little bit. One, so they can introduce her sister, and two, so they can try to pull her away a little bit from like the sex symbol they introduced. Because she came in and she was just all boobs.
It was just sex symbol. Just and then, because they
what's wrong with having her be a sex symbol?
Well, I think they wanted to have like characters have a little more depth. She was the character that came with the least depth. She was just there to be pretty at first, and so they were trying to build her up. And as on her way out, I think they were trying
there to be pretty and badass.
Signal went out.
And it's back.
You know what? But what's the point? Spoilers when the character's already dead.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I mean, it's
why do we care?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was of everything that Marvel came out with this year, movies and shows included, Black Widow was the bottom.
And
it wasn't worse than Venom. No way was it worse than Venom.
I'm gonna say that Venom, There Will Be Carnage, because the first Venom.
Oh, I mean, that's what I mean.
Right.
The Let There Be
sequel.
Carnage.
Yeah. Venom, Let There Be Carnage was a very badly made movie, I will say. But
that was poo.
But I would absolutely watch that before I watch Black Widow again.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I don't think you saw the movie.
I'll tell you why. Because even within a bad movie, there's something about that version of Venom and Eddie Brock. Their chemistry together is fun. Whenever they have scenes together, it's fun to watch. And what's funny is that it's really just Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
He's both. But there's something about that duo that I think is interesting. And there's literally nothing in Black Widow that I find interesting other than her sister, which I can see her in other stuff now. So, you know, if I had to choose both, if I had to choose between the two, then it would definitely be Venom. Wow. I'm not saying it's a good
all
movie.
Of your points that you just said, though, I'm like, I don't know. You've kind of brought me over. I would probably watch, like, if we were sitting here, like, there's nothing to watch. We've got Black Widow.
Right.
We've got Let There Be Carnage. You would have just successfully talked me into, okay, let's watch
There's literally nothing that I get out of Black Widow except for, like I was saying, like, Dave and I, well, I like her, but you know how I was saying Dave and I will like start riffing on a movie if it's so bad? Black Widow is a very riffable movie. Like you can shade the fuck out of that movie.
Yeah.
It's just
when I sit down to a movie like that, I'm like, okay, we need to. This is what I love about streaming, because it's like, okay, pause this. We need drinks. Because it's going to be one of those movies that it's like, okay, we can be the grumpy old Muppets in the thing, like, oh, wow, they called out a movie. Oh, look at her posing and making the jokes.
Yeah. So you did not like Eternals?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I feel like what so many people have already said, I felt like that was too big of a cast to try and sum up in a movie. I felt a little bait and switched to have people as big as oh God, I'm blanking
Selma
on all their
Hayek?
names.
Angelina
Selma
Jolie?
Hayek and
Angelina Jolie?
yep. To have them in the movie or in the trailers and headlining and barely be in the movie, I'm like, well, what was, like, we're just watching these same three people most of the movie, and then everybody else is a guest star in this film that I was just like Fausto, I really liked his story. I would have loved more from that, but it was just like, we're just following around, and the people we were following around, I felt like I didn't really care about. I'm like, I don't care.
Well, I will say, like, it is a huge cast, and I think that they balanced the cast as best they could, but I agree that there's some people, some characters I would have wanted to see more of.
They should have broken them up. Since they did all the flashbacks and all of that stuff could have been done in several movies.
But you didn't like Gemma Chan? Because I thought she was a good lead.
I had no complaints with anybody's performance.
Yeah.
The storytelling, and I wanted more from you have this big cast, and you're just following around, Gemma Chan and Game of Thrones guy, the Stark guy.
Yeah, he's barely in it. Kit Harington?
Kit Harington, yeah.
Oh, no, the other one. The one that
Richard Madden?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. There's two Starks in this movie.
Richard
and neither
Madden?
of them are Tony. Yeah, Richard Madden. But which, I don't know. Like, again, because they spend so much of the movie going back and forth with their time, I don't feel like those time jumps did anything as far as the character building and making me care about the characters. All I have is who they are now. And then you're showing these backgrounds, which isn't really developing the character, like to show any kind of, like, the annoying pixie character. I'm like, oh God, I was annoyed with her from the very beginning. Even in the trailers, just little post thing, the way she's walking and something, like, oh my God, someone kick her. Like, I'm just like, she annoys the fuck out of me already. And then she was just that character. I'm like, yeah, see, if they had did for Eternals what they did for Avengers, as far as, they didn't need to do 8 years of movies, but if they had just given us more of the characters when they finally got together, since they're not really actually getting together, it would have, I don't know, I felt like it would have been a better story. That said, when I watch, like, the things, like, people do the reviews and stuff like that, a lot of them have said the second time they watched it, they enjoyed it a lot more than the first time. And I've only watched this movie one time, which in my book says something, because I can rewatch a lot of movies. But I was just like,
actually.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot.
This wasn't my top of the Marvel movies that came out this year, but I thought it was pretty good, actually.
What did you like about it?
Well, I like how different it was from Marvel movies, which may be what you disliked about it. Like, I like that it was. A lot of things that you were saying about it are things I actually disagree with. Like, you didn't get a lot of character building from it, but I thought it did a good job of building character, but it was a more interior movie. Like, it's not, most Marvel movies are huge spectacle, like on the forefront, right? But this movie took a step back and let these characters be quiet and have their character building come out of their relationships with each other, or out of how they're dealing with the situation, like Angelina Jolie and my dog Seoul, how they had to go off together, and like I thought that was great character building on both of their parts.
I agree, but I don't feel like that was character building because that's all we got. So it's like those characters I cared about. Like when we got Angelina Jolie and that guy, and when we got Fausto and his partner, and then even the woman who's deaf, or the person who's deaf.
Yeah.
All of them, I care. Like from the little bit that they were on scene, I loved them.
Right.
And just wanted more of their story. And that's what I mean when I say there wasn't any character building, is just the fact that it's like, oh, we just got these little snippets, whereas the main characters, Gemma Chan and Madden, we watched them go through this whole movie and all through all that stuff, whereas the interesting stuff was happening on the sidelines as far as my perspective. I'm just like, I wanted more of this stuff that was going on because that stuff could have been its own movies. There was a lot of like, even the what are these? The monster that's evolving.
Yeah.
That just kind of evolves for no reason, are just like he's just kind of forgotten about because, or like he's just kind of this off thing to do a little side fight with Angelina Jolie while they're off dealing with this thing that's literally hatching out of the earth and nothing's happening to the earth. Those big obvious things are just like taking me out of the fantasy. I'm like, so this thing's coming out of the earth and nothing's happening? Meanwhile, she's off fighting this little fight with, I felt like the evolution of that monster, that could have been its story in its own. Like this thing is evolving and this whole thing is about gods and where we stand and stuff like that. His story was interesting, but then they just kind of swept it off to the side because we had to move on to the big thing.
The things that you were saying got swept off to the side are things that I think added to everything coming together at the end. It didn't feel like a sweep off to the side. It felt like everything was being built up together.
So, but what did his evolution mean?
Well, his evolution was just was a way for them to realize that he wasn't very different than who they were. They had to confront themselves because they were also built in a way that this thing was built. That he was supposed to be like the evil deviant version of them.
Yep.
So they had to confront themselves in order to deal with him.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that. I mean, I hear you, but I didn't get that. And so that's one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy it, because it was like, I wasn't getting that. But yeah. I was left there like, so what was the point of that character? But anyway.
So Spider-Man No Way Home, everyone loved.
How could you not? It was just, I actually was just telling Dave this, that I need to watch it again after all the hype's done, because I feel like I've been watching it from a bias, because a good portion of what I loved about that movie was the experience of watching the movie. Like the audience interactions, the excitements when things are revealed and all of that stuff. That was part of the fun of the film that I feel like I'm a little biased as far as like we were talking when we were talking about Into the Spider-Verse. That's possibly what's affecting my opinion. It's just like that experience has affected my opinion about that movie. But that said, I did enjoy the movie. I
think that movie was a lot of fun. There are definite big plot holes in it if you think too hard about it.
You don't even have to think that hard. You don't have to think that hard.
But the idea of seeing all of those characters together and then seeing I love Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. Like, he's one of my favorite comic book characters from movies ever. So I was very excited to see him come back. I went into this thinking, I'm about to get my Molina. But really, what I got was Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. He acted the fuck out of that role.
Yes, he did. But he's getting smacked and he's smiling.
And
I was
laughing.
like, oh, God, that was diabolical.
He's so good. There's just it's just a good fun time. Like you don't have to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's exactly what you want. It's an escape.
That's exactly what I want.
So yeah, you like No Way Home.
I
didn't
love
you?
No Way Home.
How many
But you're
times
right.
did you see it?
I've only seen it once, and I do want to see it again. I want to see it in
I
like
thought
a
you
more.
said you liked it.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of time to watch
joking,
movies.
I'm joking.
But yeah, I should do want to go see it. I don't know if I might. I want to try to see it one more in the theater, but not a. Full,
Isn't it
full
about
theater.
to? Is it on streaming now or
No,
No, it's not on streaming yet.
Not streaming
Oh,
yet.
The Eternals is coming out on streaming.
This month?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 12th. I
Ah,
think.
so I'll get to watch it
Yeah.
again.
But I loved it. I thought I had a great time. And yeah, there's plot holes, but I didn't care.
I didn't either. Yeah, that was
It's
the
like
thing.
they
was
knew they
like,
were there. They were just like, we just need to get your 3 Spider-Mans up there, and everybody, put Tom Holland through some shit, and everybody will be happy, and it's fine.
through some shit.
But I will say, of the Marvel movies, my favorite this year was Shang-Chi.
I
Yeah.
would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%.
There's something about, it's the same thing with when we were talking about Black Panther. There's something about seeing superheroes through the eyes of a different culture, other than like the normal white American superheroes that we normally see,
Or even just American superheroes.
or even just American
True, yeah,
superheroes.
yeah.
Yeah. So like Black Panther was definitely that for us, and I can see Shang-Chi being that for a lot of other people, where you get this representation that makes everything that happens in that movie that much more important and passionate. That's what really came across in that movie to me. It's everything about it was just so detailed and well purposed. I will always bring up like plot holes or Marvel formula because so many Marvel movies fall into the same thing, but just the fact that we get like this different version of it felt fun to me. Like I like seeing that.
I'm really curious as like, because this movie didn't touch any of like Avenger stuff. So like, how does he gonna fit in there? Because they didn't allude to anything. There was no introduction of
Well,
him.
he does get taken away by Wong at the end.
Oh, he does.
And they're talking about
of
the history of the rings is older than like they're trying to figure
Yeah.
out. So
You're right. I feel like that. Not that there's anything wrong with there not being it. I'm curious to find out like where.
Yeah.
how
that
he-
that
how he
movie had
gets
come
put in
out before Eternals.
Hmm.
I was prepared for like the Soul Suckers
Mm-hmm.
to be the same monsters that the deviants that they were going to be in Eternals. I had money. Well, I didn't have money on that, but I was so certain that those are the same monsters that they're going to be fighting in Eternals because I was just so prepared
Yeah.
for the movie to be tied into. One of the things that I really loved about Shang-Chi was the Chinese mythology. I loved just like the little chicken thing. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I know what
the
you're
little
talking about.
pillow chicken. And the lions and that whole scene, just that scene was just like, that just took me back to my childhood of being obsessed with mythology and playing Dungeons and Dragons and looking through monster manuals. And it's like, I remember that from blah, blah, blah. And I loved all of that. And of course, it gave me all of the martial arts fix that I need from all of my movies.
Yeah.
All of my movies.
Yeah.
Rom-coms included.
What was another movie you guys liked this year?
I kind of enjoyed Cruella more than I thought I was going to enjoy.
Oh, that was this year. I forgot that was this year. I loved Cruella and did not expect to love it either.
Yeah.
And I love Emma Stone. So for me to like Emma Stone, I can't say she can do no wrong, but I
can tell you the wrong she can do.
but I almost always love her
Yeah.
in her roles. And so, but it being Cruella and it being another reiteration of an animated Disney character, that's where I really thought I would really hate it because I've hated all of the Disney reiterations in live action. And so it's just like, do we really need a backstory? Because the Maleficent series, lame. And so I thought that's what we were gonna get.
Yeah.
Just another really lame backstory to a villain, which I'd really like to know. What are you doing by taking bad guys and saying, but are they really bad?
Well, to its credit, I think that Cruella works because
It does.
because she knows that she's bad.
Yes,
and she
and
actually
I loved
she
that
revels
about
in it. Like, so it wasn't even like, let's try to redeem this character. It's more like, oh, this character's bad and
Let's make
she's
her
gonna be
someone
bad.
that you like to hate. Like
Yeah.
Cersei from Game of Thrones. That bitch is evil. But yet you still want to watch her like,
Yeah.
oh God, who's she going to kill now? You know?
And I do think it's a testament to Emma Stone's talent that this movie came off as well as it did, because script-wise, I do think that they took the movie more seriously than like Maleficent, because Maleficent is real otherworldly.
together.
Yeah, but I think that Cruella they did a good job of trying to like let you get to know the character. They don't really do that with Maleficent. Like they gave Maleficent like this tragic moment that happened, and then everything spawns from that. Where Cruella also has a tragic moment, and that tragic moment is kind of like the worst part of the movie as far as script, because it's like she's upset because these dogs killed her mom. That's kind of stupid, but the way that she develops as a character after that is
Yes.
where that movie really shines. And
Yeah.
I have to say I went into Cruella thinking that I was not going to like it, and I also liked it quite a bit.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the fashion. I loved that it made me laugh.
The music.
I liked. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. I loved it. I liked again about her character. I liked that even her flunkies, who were like her friends, they saw the shift as well, and so
Yeah.
it was like it was a well acknowledged like, oh, you're going down this path.
Yeah.
And yet part of it's like, well, we know she goes down that path, so let's enjoy her go down the path.
I also like that they didn't try very hard to connect it to the cartoon movie. They're like, this is Cruella, but it doesn't have to be that specific Cruella.
Yeah.
It's just a kid,
But
every
they
time-
did have
do
a few
connect it.
nods.
They do connect
like
it, but it
her in
wasn't-
the car.
it wasn't
I
like-
mean, they were good nods.
Yeah, it wasn't. I felt like Maleficent was trying to stick a little bit more but they were like, we have freedom. We're just gonna tell a
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. It's connected, but it doesn't have to be. And I like that about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got to be it can stand on its own.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Disney, what'd you guys think of Encanto?
Oh. You have to bear with me because I struggle with forming an opinion. I was super excited to see this film, but I don't even know why I didn't know it was a musical. Like that is what
Well, first of all, it's a Disney animated movie.
I was going to it thinking more of a Pixar film, which
No,
that's
this
what
was Disney.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was expecting Pixar, and I got
Disney.
Disney.
So yeah, and you're not a fan of musicals.
I detest musicals, and so I was cringing because I talked my friends into seeing this movie. And I was like, oh, and my friend hates musicals too.
Oh.
And so I felt extra bad
y'all
about
just didn't
it.
have a good time.
It was just, well, I did enjoy it though. I mean, the visuals and, oh God, I can't remember her name. But the woman who's in Doom Patrol that plays Jane, and she was in Orange is the New Black. I didn't know that she was in the movie, but her character looks so much like her. I'm like, is that her? That has to be her. And I get excited because her role in Doom Patrol, or her performance in Doom Patrol, that Doom Patrol's not a show that's ever going to get accolades or is ever going to be great. It can be fun to watch, but it's never going to be one of those. But her role or her performance on that is really good. And she was really good in Orange is the New Black. So to watch her have a big part in a Disney film, I was super excited for her because I'm like, I really want good things for this girl or this woman. To because I really did enjoy it. So if you take away the singing, I loved it.
Story-wise, you liked the characters.
I loved it. I love the main character. I love what they were telling with the story. I love the visuals. Yeah, when I rewatch it, I'll be fast forwarding through the songs.
Oh, the songs are some of the best moments.
I love this movie.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
A lot.
Me too.
I thought it was gonna be cute, and Andrew Kano was like, "You gotta watch it because he's gonna like it." He told me he was gonna love it. I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it."
We should have him on the show sometime.
We should have him. We should talk about Encanto with him.
Yeah, let's do that.
And so I watched it, and I was so into this movie.
Yeah.
I laughed. I bawled. I connected with a bunch of it. Obviously, there's some stuff that I'm obviously going to connect with, but like I thought it was great, and I was not expecting so much of it because it was. I've not gotten anything good from Disney, like Disney, not Pixar, for a while. I mean, I loved Coco; they did a great job with that. But like Frozen 2 was
But
fun.
Coco was Pixar.
Coco was Pixar. You're right. And so everything else in the back, it's been like, oh, that was kind of fun, but nothing great. Some of them have just been all right, bad. But this one, there's still I can still see the clunky storytelling that happens when Disney does that because they do it by committee, but somehow, and I think they did what they did with Frozen 2, which is the music took over the storytelling. And so they basically, literally, this is a Lin-Manuel directed movie basically because he told the story through the songs, and they sort of just made a movie around all that stuff. But it sort of worked. This mess at how they make movies sort of worked really well with this movie, and I think they just had a lot of really good people, and the cast was amazing as a whole.
Yes.
And I love that a lot of them are like unknowns, completely unknowns that
got a good platform to show what they can do,
and they're amazing. As far as like Lin-Manuel stuff, I think this is some of my favorite music that he's written. I think this is.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, by far, of anything that he's written so far, I think this is my favorite stuff that he's written.
I'm not gonna say anything bad because it's not like I still enjoyed the movie. The music's no Hamilton, but
I think that do you really like Hamilton? Are you someone who doesn't like musicals but likes Hamilton?
Yeah, actually, there's a few musicals that I like, but I can count them on one hand. Grease, The Wiz,
Hamilton,
Chicago, Hamilton, and there's room to grow.
Yeah, I thought Encanto was great, and I would agree that it is Lin-Manuel's best music, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say Lin-Manuel's best movie this year was Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
Because he directed it. He actually directed it.
I still haven't heard of Tick, Tick, Boom until today. So what is Tick, Tick, Boom?
Tick, Tick, Boom is the story of do you know the musical Rent?
Yeah.
So the creator of the musical Rent, Tick, Tick, Boom follows him creating his first musical.
Okay.
The one he did before Rent.
It's not it's a biography piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
By Jonathan Larson.
But it's a musical.
But it's a musical.
It is a musical. I mean, it's about musical theater, so they use music as a way to show the musical theater scene and what he's going through and that kind of thing. And I think Lin-Manuel did a great job directing it, and also Andrew Garfield is on a roll in 2021. He plays the lead. And so
that's right. Okay, now I remember seeing an interview or something.
Yeah, he was promoting this,
like
and
talking about Spider-Man.
Right. So he was out promoting Tick, Tick, Boom, and also Eyes of Tammy Faye, because like I said, he's on a roll in 2021.
And he's in that as well?
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield is.
Andrew Garfield.
Okay, because that's on
and
my
all three are
watch
good.
list.
Between Tick, Tick, Boom, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Eyes of Tammy Faye, Andrew Garfield is like phenomenal in all three of them.
Well, I really love Andrew Garfield, but I was excited to see I remember the trailers of Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yeah,
and I'm
with
like,
Jessica
this is gonna
Chastain.
be good, yeah.
That was a fun movie. I do think that There's something about taking someone that's really, really pretty and just putting a lot of prosthetics on them to make them look like someone else. It's kind of like what's happening with Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Like, there's something odd about that. But once you get past that,
Well, it's distracting because you know what they really look like.
right. But I think that Jessica Chastain's performance as Tammy Faye is great, and also Andrew Garfield plays her husband in it, and the two of them together, they work very great. So I
That's
think
on
that's
HBO, right?
That's one worth watching. I don't know.
It's on HBO now, yes.
Yeah, that's what because I
HBO
had
Max.
added it to my list on one of the streaming things.
So yeah, Tick Tick Boom and Eyes of Tammy Faye are both, I think, worth watching.
I won't watch Tick Tick Boom, but I will agree that it sounds like a good movie.
Did you ever watch Street Gang?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
Because
no.
that's on HBO too.
That's on HBO. I think I was waiting for that.
Oh, that was about the Sesame Street.
Yeah, the documentary about the creation of Sesame Street. Definitely worth watching. If you haven't seen it, I think it's pretty good. It's very informative. I think even people who know Sesame Street well will still be surprised to learn some things.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it.
I'm a big Jim Henson is definitely in my top 5 favorite creators of all time. So, knowing his biography and the drama that Sesame Street was, actually not that Sesame Street was drama to him, but that was a drama in his sell to Disney and selling Jim Henson Inc.
You should definitely, I think you'll get a lot out of Street Gang, because Street Gang, like Jim Henson was definitely a part of creating Sesame Street, but they talk about so many other people who were very integral to that, probably even more so than Jim Henson. Because he played a part in like bringing the Muppets in and all the puppetry and some of the sketches and stuff.
That's why I'm intrigued to watch it, is to get those other perspectives.
Yeah, there's a lot. Jim Henson is very important, but there's a lot of non-Jim Henson happening behind Sesame Street as well that I think that documentary goes into, and it's all good.
Rich Cooper wants to know if Andrew plays Jim in this. I said he should.
Andrew Garfield?
Andrew Garfield.
He might as well.
There's a movie. Oops.
If we're on that track for Jim Henson stuff and puppets, one of the movies that I was very happy with this year was a Disney Plus movie. It was the Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Tell me what it was like.
It was just
It was like it's
like
been
a
a long
TV
time since they
special.
got something that was just 100% pretty good across the board. Like Muppets have been had like ups and downs, and some of the stuff that, like, I've been rewatching like the Muppets TV show, and like there's all these little gems in it that I was watching it like get better and better, and there's all these little things that it never got another season, and never got real good.
Yeah.
But like watching this it was just very classic Muppets
so happy you're
without
saying
any like. It wasn't trying too hard. They would just were, and it was so much fun and so happy.
It was really fun.
It was very, very good, and I was very happy with that.
I'm really happy to hear that, because I didn't watch it because I was having that experience. I'm like, I don't feel like, because I like these characters, because I like this, I don't want to be disappointed, so I'm just not going to watch it.
No,
it was fun.
It was great. Yeah, it was very good. I think it was good because Disney. Because it goes straight to streaming, and I don't think it had a really high budget. Disney just said make it. They said make it, and they didn't let it be. And
they
so,
weren't trying to sell stuff or like, you have to put this in and that in. No, they just make it.
And it was written and directed by Kirk Thatcher, who's been a long time Muppet director. So they got to do what they do instead of trying to do what Disney wants them to do.
Yeah. I know that we don't have a lot of time left. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw out some movies that I know neither of you have seen, but I'm just going to say these are like some of my top movies, so I have to say them before we run out of time for what was the best in 2021. Nicolas Cage and Pig. Oh my God, you didn't see it, did you?
No, but because I don't think about it until Dave had mentioned it. I'm like, I keep forgetting I'm supposed to watch that.
It's a movie that was marketed to look kind of like Nicolas Cage's version of John Wick. Like he's going after the people who stole this pig.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to be one thing, and then you watch it, and it's something else. I don't know if you get upset about that kind of thing, like going into a movie
If
thinking
it's
one
something
thing.
better,
It was far better. Like when you watch it, I'm interested to know what your opinion is because I feel like you might not like it.
hold on.
But I personally loved it. It was my favorite movie of the year because I just think that Nicolas Cage is now at the point where he can. For a long time, people tried to pigeonhole Nicolas Cage into certain movies, and Nicolas Cage is a weird guy. Like his acting style is weird, everything is weird, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
I say that as a compliment, and I like that he now has movies where people are writing movies for him to fit into, as opposed to trying to fit him into something else.
And the movies that you would have a hard time finding anybody else to fit into.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because he's so peculiar.
I think a lot of people expect Nicolas Cage to be like this weird hack because he's so peculiar, but I'm going to tell you now that Pig is the best performance Nicolas Cage has ever given. He acts in this movie. There's one scene in particular, we talk about shade and reading. There's one scene in particular where he's sitting at a restaurant table with two other people, and just his delivery towards those two people, it's like,
I feel
an
like
actor's
that's
movie.
the real Nicolas Cage. Like
Yes.
Nicolas Cage makes me want to know him in real life because I feel like he's someone you could sip and have tea with, and he would just deliver with a straight face and everything.
he's
like,
totally like, he's just on point.
See, you sold the movie. You
Pig-
sold it.
Pig
I'll
is-
watch it.
Pig is really good.
Reader wants to know, you didn't see Willy's Wonderland?
I haven't seen Willy's Wonderland yet. It's on
Is
my
that a
list.
Nicolas Cage
It
movie?
is a Nicolas Cage movie.
Okay.
Also very...
What is that on?
Oh,
It is streaming. It might be on Netflix now. I know it
Well, I
is
know it's not
streaming.
in theaters because I was looking in theaters for
No,
movies,
it's-
and there's like
it's
5
streaming
movies
now.
you can see in the theaters right now.
While he's looking that up, I'm going to say my other favorite performance of the year goes to someone who I was not a fan of until this movie. And it's someone I've tried to be a fan of. I've tried hard to watch her movies because I know everyone else likes them. I'm just like, not getting it. And then I saw this movie, and I was like, oh, I get it.
What is
Now I get it. Kristen Stewart and Spencer. See? That was my initial reaction. I was just like, not feeling it. But her playing Princess Diana in this movie,
She's playing Princess Diana.
yeah,
That was a bold choice.
it's a perfect choice. She's perfect. She's perfect in it. It's amazing. She channels her. She finds a way to channel everything that we think we know about Princess Diana, so that she is someone recognizable to us. But at the same time, she's adding more to it, and she's making it her own. And she just
Considering
completely
how you
nails.
built this up, as in you were on my camp of not liking her, I will give this show a chance.
I've
since
seen
it changed your mind
most
about
of her movies because I have a lot of friends, a lot of film people who are just like, I love her. I'll watch anything with her, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
I'll watch it. I'll give it a try, and I kept trying, and I just couldn't relate to any of it. And even outside of relating to it, I just didn't enjoy
buy
any
it,
of it. Yeah. But this is the one I think that she has really hit her home run with.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of amazing.
I'm on the same note. I've got someone that actually a lot of people do love, and I don't. But they did a role that really kind of changed my opinion about them. Nicole Kidman in The Ricardos. It was maybe.
That's the one. That's the role. I mean, go ahead.
Hold on. Hear me out.
That was so judgy.
But I love it. I am not. I want to say it was October, and I was on the couch with my friend Jay, and I was telling him that I just don't like her. I just don't like her. I just don't find that she's a good actress. I don't find her pretty. I find her very awkward and uncomfortable to look at, blah, 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 blah. All of this stuff. And he said, watch the Ricardos. But I'd forgotten it because I blocked it because it's Nicole Kidman. But then our friend Joe was watching it the other night, and I love Lucy. I really do love Lucy.
Yeah.
And so anything about I Love Lucy, I will watch. And I was like, what are you watching? And he was like, the Ricardos. And I was like, is that Nicole Kidman? And I was like, oh God. But she was, I think just the fact that she really nailed that voice was really amazing to me. And the show, I didn't mean this to be about Nicole Kidman, but it did change my opinion about her.
I mean, this is also a 2021 movie, so go for it.
Yeah, and so this movie told a different story than what I've read and been told before about their relationship and about them. And Nicole Kidman is, we were talking about pretty people who have prosthetics and stuff like that. I don't think she was the best choice for that role at all, but that's also what caught me off guard is I didn't expect her to do well at all in it. And so it changed my opinion about her. I'm like, oh, it's just like if you have a kid that can't sing and then yet you hear them hit a note and it's like, oh, maybe there's something there. That's how I feel about Nicole Kidman.
Okay,
now.
so you went from like Nicole Kidman proved herself in this movie to this actually being like a pity light.
No.
Like
I didn't say she proved herself.
Okay.
I meant she changed my opinion about her. That's what I was saying, because we were talking about Kristen Stewart and we don't, or at least I don't like her, and you watched a movie that changed your opinion about her. Whereas this movie with Nicole Kidman changed my opinion from hate her, won't watch it, to, oh, maybe. Maybe. But I did enjoy the Ricardos. The Ricardos was a different story. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you watch that with the other stories, or if you watch any of the biographies, it might be a little more well-rounded, because I felt like they left a lot of big things out, and the portrayal of them was kind of one-sided for both characters, that it depicted them differently than what we already understand based on the biographies and blah, blah, blah. But her performance, I was like, I didn't expect her to do that. I didn't expect her to do that at all.
I like Nicole Kidman. I definitely better in some movies than others. I definitely have seen.
If we ignore the hours, what is a role that you would say is worth seeing her in? Because now that I'd like to give her a chance, I'd like to see a good performance from her.
We'll have that conversation a different time.
Okay.
We'll have a Nicole Kidman episode or something, because I don't want to like spend this whole episode talking about her. But.
By the way, Reach said that Pig is available on Hulu or available to rent or buy across all media services.
Thank you. Who was that?
Reed.
Reed.
Thank you, Reed.
Another movie that I have to say, I think I asked you already if you had seen Summer of Soul.
No.
But Summer of Soul, which is also on Hulu, best documentary of the year, definitely worth watching. It takes this summer music festival that happened same year as Woodstock, but happened in New York.
Yep.
And puts it right in the era of the civil rights movement. You kind of understand like how historic and how important this music festival was to people. But for some reason, because it was the same year as Woodstock, everyone remembers Woodstock and no one remembers this festival. So it's just another perspective of a very important time in history. And I think that it was done really well. Also on Netflix, if you haven't watched it, it actually just hit Netflix. The Lost Daughter, which has Olivia Colman in it. It's such a good performance. So watch that on Netflix. And then the only other movie that I feel like I definitely need to mention, I'm just going down the list. There were so many movies this year that had so much potential, but the other movie that I really enjoyed that we haven't talked about yet
Is it
was
Jungle Cruise?
No,
It's not Jungle Cruise.
you know what? I enjoyed Jungle Cruise more than I expected to, for sure.
It was a bad
fun.
movie, but because it was The Rock and
Emily Blunt.
they're fun together. I think that's why it was
They
fun.
have good chemistry. No, there's a movie on Amazon Prime called Encanto, which is Riz Ahmed and Octavia Spencer. It's touted as a psychological thriller or horror, but there's more going on there. I don't want to give it away, but I highly recommend Encounter. I think that was
Where is it
actually
on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Cool.
I think that was my recommendation once already, but came out last year, so it's one of the ones I still need to talk about.
I have one to add that we didn't talk about. I just want to.
Oh my God, I have more to add, but we don't have time for it.
One movie that made me happy this year was In the Heights. I was very happy that came out. However, I do have I could sit and talk about what things I loved about this movie and what things I didn't like about it. There was a movie that gave me a lot, made me real happy, and I was happy that it got made. But there was also a bunch of things where I like it because I have things to say about it. Maybe that's the thing, because there's so much that I love about it, and some things that I wish they had done differently.
Yeah.
Because it was a musical that I really loved.
Yeah.
But I'm happy
What
that it got
about
made.
the other one? The one that Spielberg just did.
West Side
West Side Story. I haven't seen West Side
I
Story,
haven't
but
seen that yet
I heard
either.
it's amazing.
That's another thing. Like, there are some movies that I was telling you earlier. Like, most of the movies I really want to see are film festival movies that haven't come out to the public yet. So there are movies like Drive My Car, Belle, which is supposed to be coming out in theaters next Wednesday for a night, an anime movie. I did not get a chance to see Flea, which is supposed to be an amazing animated movie all about immigration. I did not get a chance to see Red Rocket yet. I think we might go see that.
That was the one I was trying to bring up earlier.
Did you see it?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that yet, but that's in theaters now, so I might try to catch that. Or not might. I'm definitely going to try to catch that. Another big one that I know I missed and I haven't been able to find yet is Titan. That's one that everybody's raving about. So I need to watch that. So there's always movies that I feel like at the end of the year I still need to see more.
Regis Group asks about No Sudden Move.
I haven't seen No Sudden Move.
No.
Nope. The Last Duel people are raving about, which is a movie that
Yeah, that's right.
based on the trailers, I did not want to see. But then
same.
after it came out and everyone that I knew was talking about how amazing it was, I feel like I need to see it now. But that trailer did nothing for me.
Same.
Yeah.
I was like,
Regis Group says No Sudden Move is worth it.
okay.
Adding
Thank
it to my list too then.
As
There's a
you're
lot.
going down your list, I did like Luca. And one thing that I don't see in there, because I think it was a 2021 film, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
That should be on here. I think it's just way at the bottom.
Well, I really loved
there it is.
that one. And we were
It's
talking
just at the
about
bottom of my list, that's all.
Oh, but there was films that was one of the films that it was different than what I thought I was getting.
It was really different.
And that was a happy surprise because I was like, oh, this is just so much more than what I thought I was coming to see.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing it and then I was like, I need to see. I actually wasn't even done with it. I was about halfway through and I was like, I need to see this again stoned because I think that's what they were going for. But I really enjoyed that movie. I was very entertained.
I know a lot of people who like loved that movie and were just raving about it
the
moment it came out.
Because it was just so unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I loved about it the most because it's not like it was a great story or anything like that. It was just lots of unexpected randomness, hilarity that like, oh, okay.
Reed says also, Art loves musicals. Arlo the Alligator Boy. I don't know what that is.
What the alligator? boy?
Arnold, the alligator boy.
Arlo.
Arlo. Not Arlo. That's the name of the
Oh, so these
dinosaur.
are ratings. So up
Oh, it's
here
on
is
Netflix.
good
This
and
looks
down
cute.
there
I'm gonna
is
watch it.
bad.
Yeah, this is my letterbox list is ranked. So
Did you-
this is from the best movie all the way to the worst movie.
Did you see Benedetta? The Paul
I
Verhoeven?
didn't. That's another one
didn't
that's on
mean to
my
watch
list
that.
of movies that I need to watch. I really want to watch
The trailers
that.
that I was gonna. I'm happy I watched that trailer on my own because I was gonna bring it to Cinephilia.
Yeah.
And it's not for streaming on. I shouldn't stream that on
Oh,
Cinephilia. But
no.
I watched it and I was like, oh, that's a little stupid. And I was like, oh, and it just got like more intense. I was like, I really want to watch it.
So, obviously, there's a lot more
There's
to
a
talk
lot.
about, but I think that's a wrap for today's discussion.
The movie that no sudden moves. That was it. No
Yeah.
sudden moves.
No sudden move.
We don't have homework for next week, right?
I don't know what we're talking about next week, so no.
No.
Well, I mean,
2022.
yeah,
movie.
since we didn't get to the movies we're looking forward to in
We'll get to that
2022.
next week. Movies that bring some ideas.
Let us know
Because
what
maybe
movies you're
hopefully
looking
we'll actually get to
forward
go to the theaters and not feel gross about it.
Yeah, I mean the plus of this year was that a lot of movies got released to streaming. Which
Yeah.
gave us access to watch a lot. But there's still, I don't know. I guess for me it's just those film festival movies.
Yeah.
A lot of them try to hold out and still release in the theater. So
And I think I'm
I
gonna
miss 'em.
have to suck it up and just go to my local AMC because my local AMC, the one that's like 7 minutes from my house, it's all smaller screens. So I actually don't like going there. But there's a bunch of smaller movies that I could just go see there.
yeah.
Because I always tend to go to the Block, and it's like a 30-minute drive, and it's full of teenagers.
Yeah, the block is full of
that
teenagers.
But
Really
thankfully, I always go to like the
experience.
IMAX or the Dolby Theater, and they don't pay for the extra money
Yeah.
for those, so they're usually not there, which is great. And what I love about that theater is that they do a lot of movies, subtitled movies. Like I
Yeah,
took my
they
parents
do.
to watch No Way Home with Spanish subtitles, which they appreciated because they were able to like
Oh,
understand it fully.
great.
Yeah, they do. They do
yeah.
a lot of that at the block, and they
Block.
also have a lot of. You don't get a lot of like the smaller film festival movies that I really want to see there, but you do get a lot of more obscure foreign movies there.
A lot of foreign movies happen
and
there.
I
yeah.
love that they do that.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I wish more of because I get not all the theaters can support that because
Yeah.
but there's a ton of huge theaters that could support that. That the ones that have 30+ screens, they
Yeah.
can sprinkle in some smaller movies in there.
Yeah.
Even if they're just limited showings.
Yeah, sometimes they'll show twice a day. It's
Yeah.
like that's all I need. I'll make it work.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next week with the look we're looking forward to in 2022.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can go see movies. We will see you next week. And I just screwed that up.
I was waiting.
I've done
I was
so
just
well for
waiting
so
for
many
you.
weeks. So many weeks. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll Cinephilia
Cinephilia
you later.